This is another edition of Evergreen Speedway Weekly News. We are in Woodinville, Washington at Doni Wanat Racing's shop here. And it's a great-looking shop here. The crew's been working hard all day long, or all evening long, I guess you'd say. Here with Doni Wanat, his crew chief, Tom Hughes. First of all, Doni, thanks for coming on this show. Let's kind of get down to talk about, you and yourself and your career, how you came along. A little bit different background for you than some other drivers. You actually started racing with dirt bikes.
Yeah, I actually started racing motorcycles, when I was about 15 years old, started racing motorcycles, turned professional, actually just a year into my career almost, at about almost 17 years old. Just before my 17th birthday, I rode the Broome-Tioga Binghamton 500 National. Was my first ever pro race. And that was about a year and 2 months after I started my first ever novice race, believe it or not. And so then it just kind of took off from there. I did that till 1997, rode a lot of the supercrosses, outdoor nationals. Moved out here to Washington from upstate New York where I grew up. Started a business, had a bunch of injuries, decided I should probably get a real job for a living instead of racing. And so anyways, I did that for about 3 years, started a business that I still own today called Court Games. And then we went on from there, and 3 years later I started racing again, just after I got married in 2001, as a matter of fact. And so I started racing again, told my wife, I'll just do it locally, a couple arena crosses, couple outdoor races. Then all of a sudden I started doing the Canadian National Arena Crosses. Then I did the Canadian Nationals. Then I went and did the Seattle Supercross, Sacramento National, Washougal. Decided to go to Salt Lake City, San Francisco, started doing some of that stuff again, and then said, okay, hold on a second. What am I doing here? I'm working full time. I know what it takes to do it at this level. And I said I should put the brakes on a little bit because I'm getting old, I'm getting fat, and can't train all the time. So anyways, I kind of put the brakes on to that for a while. And then I actually started doing this stuff called Supermoto. So it's half asphalt, half dirt. Went and did that. Was a little easier. There was a bunch of old-time motocrossers, supercross riders that were doing it, like Jeff Ward, Mickey Diamond, stuff like that. And I said, geez, this must be a little easier on your body because they're doing it, and they're even older than I am. So I went and did that for 4 years, got a ride for a team, rode out 4 years at that, finished top 5 in the nation 3 years in a row in the AMA Supermoto Series, and then that whole series kind of defunct, and here I am car racing now. My wife said to me one day, she was back in New York visiting her family, hey, what are you doing today, hon? And I said, I'm actually buying a race car. And she went, what? I said, yeah, I'm buying a race car. And she goes, huh, okay. I guess I'll see you when I get home then. So here we are today, super late model racing.
So completely different, running 2 wheels up to 4 wheels now. Let's talk about what you do when you're not, working in the race shop, not working, at the racetrack, which is quite a few weekends for you out through the year. Your business that you do, which is kind of a little unique business you have, and then your family.
Yeah, so my business, we build basketball courts and tennis courts, but I also do excavation and commercial concrete work. I'm doing a lot of indoor commercial concrete work for a couple big contractors these days. In the summertime, the court business keeps me busy and has since 1998. And we kind of have been growing the commercial concrete side of things and the excavation side of things. So I do that. Got a couple employees that have been with me for quite a while. And that's what I do. Work hard during the week so we can go play hard on the weekends, pretty much. And family, don't have any kids. Just my wife and I, a couple of cats, a dog. And then I got Nama's kids. I go to all their basketball games, all their football games. I coach their basketball team with Nama. So kind of they call me Uncle Donnie. Jill does, Nama and stuff like that, kids. And we're spending a bunch of time with them. We kind of took their kids as like our own. So that's just kind of what we do. It's awesome. I mean, I have a lot of fun around kids. We got a little bit too old and too many race cars to start our own family. So that's kind of what we do during the week.
Let's talk about, as a racer, there's a lot of things you can do, but it helps when you have a great sponsors, and you have some great partners in the car, a lot of different partners in the car, but you have some ones that are really special to you. Let's talk about some of your sponsors. I know one of the big ones that came on last year with All New Again, and they've been a great partner, but a lot of the other partners as well.
Yeah, for sure. John and Jada Bear own All New Again Construction. It's a restoration company. They do wind, fire, water, smoke damage, all those different things. Mostly insurance type work, but they take it from the start of when they're moving people out of the house that have to get their whole house redone, all the way back to the last granite slab that might go in, or the flooring that they might put in. And John Bear and Jada, they're just awesome people. But John's whole legacy that he wants to leave, believe it or not, is to change the way the insurance companies treat their customers. So he's passionate about his business. He's passionate about anything that he gets into, super passionate about my racing. Met him last year. He was one of the founders of the Wheels of Boom Car Club. Has the 12th Lambo. A lot of that, the 12th Lambo, what they do is they use it for charity stuff. He's done multiple Make-A-Wish Foundation deals. If you look up the 12th Lambo on Facebook, you'll see all the different things that he's done charity-wise with it, everything else. They're just great people. When he got involved with me, he's just so passionate about the racing, and he wants to win, right? I mean, he's the type of guy, he wins in business, he wins in life, and he just wants to win. So I want to do that for him too. And they're a great partner to have. That's first and foremost my biggest sponsor, obviously. Something I never had before, someone that writes checks, which is a huge, huge deal. I had it in motorcycle racing, but I never had it in car racing. Pathfinder Chassis is another huge sponsor of mine. They build the cars for me, whatever we don't do here in the shop. They build the chassis. Joe Wood and Jason Schuler are awesome guys that own that company back in Wisconsin. They're a huge part of my program. Tracy DeYoung, as you know, he does, I don't know how many cars in the pits, right? And Tracy DeYoung, the guy came here last week, Tom, and what did he say? He hadn't slept since Tuesday. And I got to be honest, like Tracy's the type of guy, he hadn't slept since Tuesday. If he says that, he's being honest, right? I don't know how he does it, but he's the type of guy that always turns around and gets your graphics and your hero cards and your design for sweatshirts and T-shirts done. Just a huge part of my deal. So Tracy DeYoung and DeYoung Inc. Obviously JZ Motorsports, John Zaretsky is a huge part of my program. He helps us out with a lot of fabrication stuff, setup stuff, anything that we don't do there. John helps out a bunch and just a great friend. My company, obviously, I tagged that on myself, is Court Games, because they pay some of my bills, i.e. tax write-off. If the tax man's looking, don't watch. Yeah, that and actually Lang Autosport. Nema helps me out a bunch. I help him out a bunch. We kind of trade stuff back and forth. First year in racing, he was actually the guy that, believe it or not, I went back. I won the Rookie of the Year. He won the championship. We went back to Charlotte together. And I told him I bought a Victory Circle car from Chuck Pickens, which was Gary Lewis's old spotter. And he said, that's the same car I have. He said, my garage is open to you. He said, here's the garage code. He said, go out there anytime. Tom Moriarty was helping me build the car. Tom and him raced together for years to get. He opened up his garage, and there was Tom Moriarty taking measurements off of Nema Lang's championship car to build, right? I mean, you couldn't imagine when people were like, what? Tom Moriarty was allowed in Nema Lang's garage to take pictures and take measurements. And I mean, he helped me get started, right, on the road to where I think I've been pretty successful in a short amount of time. And I owe a lot of that to him for opening up that door for me. And ever since then, we've been trading stuff back and forth on chassis setups. And now my car's evolved, and his has changed into what my cars are today, rather than what he had back in the day, which is pretty awesome.
We got Tom Hughes over here, your crew chief. We'll talk to Tom a little bit here. Tom, you drove for a little bit there, and you've worked with Doni for quite a bit now. Talk about what it's like working with Doni. And
yeah, I raced from 2007 to 2015 out at Evergreen Speedway in the late model series. So I got a little bit of experience. So I'm kind of getting to the age where I need to start aligning my life towards retirement. So my financial priorities shifted. So, but it's great to still be involved. In fact, people ask me if I miss driving and miss being involved. I'm so deep into this now, there's nothing to miss. So I'm here a lot. We work on cars. This is what we do. Pat Sparks, myself, Doni, Daryl, our work schedules kind of align, so we can be here at like 2:30 in the afternoon, get a ton of work done by dinner time, and be home at a decent hour. It's really fun to work with. Go home when it's still daylight and stuff. You hear about these guys burning in the midnight hour because they don't get started till 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. So it's really nice. When Doni first started out, and when I started out, I knew nothing. And everything we've learned, we've really gained a lot of information from people that really helped us out, and it's great. And we're to the point now where we can do a lot of this stuff in the shop. Note where we're at today. We destroyed a car on Saturday night. We're going to rebuild it right here in the shop. And it's an awesome, and this is what we want to do. We want to build race cars here. And we're 85% there. We're going to get some help from other people to help put this back together, but we can do it. And as we move forward, we want to be building some of the best race cars in the Northwest, and that's our goal. We think we can do it.
Thank you. Doni, let's talk about last year. Your second half of the season was really strong there, picking up a win at Evergreen, winning the Neil Newberry, finished on the podium at the Fall Classic. It's a pretty good way to end the year. Talk about the progress you guys made in 2016.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, Jeremy, for the last couple seasons, and it's hard, right? The last couple seasons, we always seem to kind of get a slow start, right? This one couldn't be avoided. I mean, I was in the car this last weekend, and I hate to say I was thinking about, with 15 laps to go, I was thinking about, well, you know what? The car's not a 10. It was close. We got no practice. I had the fastest time almost for the 2 practice sessions that happened from the Saturday before and the Friday night that I didn't practice. So we thought the car was really good. I don't know if moisture was coming out of the track or what. I think everyone's lap times were a little bit slow. And I kind of sat there and 15 laps in, and I go, you know what? Man, 7th place, if we just stay here, it's not going to be a horrible start. We got a straight race car when we leave here, and it's not going to be a horrible start to the season. Because honestly, I can't remember last year. I think we were in the top 3 with 10 laps to go. We got a flat tire, right? We're in and out of the pits, and we're starting back there. And to tell you the truth, I don't even want to look. I know we started 13th the other night because we had beat some guys that had broke or crashed out earlier or broke down, whatever, and we crashed when there was 10 laps left. But I got to be honest with you, I think last year we started around the same, right? And we were out on lap 10, or with 10 laps to go last year. So my whole deal is, it seems like we always kind of get a slow start. The end of the year, we gain some momentum. I get more comfortable. And honestly, like Tom said, we're learning every day. All the guys in the shop, my crew, we started a few years ago. Tom got some help from Jesse Jensen when he first was getting the late model done, and I did the same thing, and Tom Moriarty, Naima Lang, and we're relying on everybody else. Then John Zaretsky comes into the picture a couple of years ago. We lean on John a lot, and he's crew chief of my car for that Wenatchee win. He was their crew chief of my car. He was at Evergreen when I won. I had Jeff Knight on my pit box, was it the year before last, helping Tom and I when he wasn't racing, right? That's a great guy to have in your corner, a guy with a bunch of experience. And but we always seem to kind of start off slow, and I'm like, man, can't we just ever get a start, right, a little bit better? I don't think I've ever started off good. I finished second in the championship at Evergreen twice. Was running for a championship in that Northwest Super Late Model Tour, was in second when I had to make a choice of go here or go there when they ran on the same night. And it's just one of those deals, man. We start off slow, but I didn't anticipate having a wrecked race car either, right? So here's where we're at. 13th place out of, I don't know how many we start this week, 24 cars, 23 cars, 22 cars. 13th, somehow we beat a lot of guys, and I don't think anyone's got their car on the lift with the clip cut off it except for us, right? So, I mean, my crew's strong. The people around us are strong. Friends are strong. Sponsors. I just think we'll get her put back together, and I mean, we're still going to be there at the end. Somehow, some way, we're going to be there at the end. I mean, we're not giving up. Definitely not right now.
As a driver, as a race team, what does it take for a crew like this to get this car? I mean, I know originally you had planned to go and run the Apple Cup, had to cancel that plan to get this car back in shape. What does it take as a driver and race team coming off a weekend like this where you have a wrecked race car, it's so bad, but you're wanting to run for a championship evergreen?
Well, I think like Tom said, it's a lot of hard work. Luckily, we can get after it a little earlier in the day than some people. We've already been here. It's 7:10. We've already been here for 3 or 4 hours today. Luckily, I have a good enough sponsors that I have 3 race cars sitting in the shop right now, and one of them's brand new. Don't have a chance to finish that one before the next race possibly. Wanted to go to the Apple Cup with the car that's sitting behind us, which is my big motor car, but I think we're going to be pushed into a situation that's what we're going to have to run at Evergreen, and that's where we want to win a championship. So we all looked at each other and said, Tom and I were in the shop Sunday when Jeff Kessler dropped the car off on a rollback and said, hey, I think we should cut the clip off this thing, start moving forward, scratch the Apple Cup for now, race the big motor car if we have to. We'll just see what happens. If we can, a lot of problem up in this area is getting the parts up here, getting the clip here from whether it's back east or down south or wherever it has to come from is mostly what's going to hold us up. I mean, we're going to be ready to put the clip on tomorrow, and I think I just found out we'll have it like next Tuesday if we're lucky, right? So that kind of pushes us into a bind for that and getting all the parts and pieces to rebuild the car. But we'll be ready for it. Tom started preparing the big motor car tonight, and Pat and Daryl. We're getting our new car hopefully ready to go too. I don't think it'll be ready for the next race, but it'll definitely be ready for that back-to-back weekends at Evergreen Speedway. And one of the biggest reasons why we want to have those 2 cars ready by then, and the car that we're putting the new clip on, is so we can go do Wenatchee, because the last person that won there was me, right? So we want to go back there and defend that, right? It's Garrett's home track. We beat him at his home track. We'd love to go beat him there again. You know what I mean? He's probably the best that ever was in the Northwest, right? And I mean, that was a great and awesome feeling, and we want to feel the same thing again. The crew does. I do.
So let's just talk about the crew. You have a bunch of guys around here. What are maybe some of the ways that you guys have fun at the shop or kick back when you guys aren't working on race cars?
I don't know. Maybe drinking? No, just kidding. It's actually Pat Sparks' stupid jokes most times. We tell them they're not funny, but most times they're pretty funny, but we try to act like they're not. So, and it's good. He didn't want to get on camera, so he can't defend himself on this one. But, yeah, normally it's Pat's stupid jokes. And, when Johnny's down here, there's always something interesting going on or being said or something like that too. But, man, I think the biggest thing is we all like each other, like being around people. I mean, Tom came aboard. I helped him at the Fall Classic. What year was that when I didn't race it and you raced the Fall Classic? 2012. I helped him over there. Nema was already going. He had a big crew. I said, hey, I'm going to go to the Fall Classic. Pit next to Nema. I'll help you do whatever we got to do. And that year at the banquet, Tom said, I don't think I'm going to race a full season next year. How about if I come help you? And I'm like, well, wait a second. We got a guy that knows everything about late models, or so I thought I did, that has been around it, and he wants to come work with me. Yeah, that's awesome, right? So he's been here ever since and raced a little bit. We housed his car at this shop. We went first and second twice. Was it last year, year before? We went first and second twice. The cars sat next to each other. They both had the trophies on them. That was an awesome feeling for both of us. We shared a lot of information, and Pat was a personal friend. Daryl's come aboard. Matt Dugas helps us out. He kind of used to help Ryan Wells a lot, and he's trying to learn how to work on race cars, and helps us out a lot, and just a lot of friends around the whole thing. And I think if you don't have friendships in the race shops and friendships on working on race cars, it's never going to be successful, because you're going to be ready to kill each other, right? Normally we can just tell each other, hey, make a joke, which would normally be like someone walking away, right? And I don't want to be around this anymore. But I think being friends first and foremost helps us get through all the ups and downs, rough times, and everything else, which is pretty cool.
All right, so this is another episode of Evergreen Speedway Weekly News. I want to thank Donnie and Tom and the rest of the crew guys here at the shop for having us. This Saturday night, April 8th, is Scout Night at the races. We have the Super Stock Figure 8s in action, the Street Stocks, the Hornet Cars, Pro-Am Drift as well. So a lot of fun things coming up this weekend at Evergreen Speedway. You can go to evergreenspeedway.com for tickets. You can see Donnie in action. He'll be in action on April 15th, the Easter Egg 100. Hopefully he finds the Golden 8 in Victory Lane. And the Easter Egg 100 on April 15th at Evergreen Speedway. Check for evergreenspeedway.com for more details. Signing off for Evergreen Speedway Weekly News, this is Jeremy Anders.
This is Jimmy Johnson, and Evergreen Speedway is your NASCAR home track.